Hi everybody, my name is Hannah and this is Pepper and Pine, and I have a chalk drawing to share with you today. I've written out 3 little samples for chalk drawings, and today we're going to work on the first one. I'm also using this book called Super Simple Chemistry by D.K. Smithsonian. We're using this as a resource and as illustration inspiration for part of this chalk drawing. I'm going to be using a little bit of the text as well, and then the illustration at the bottom of that page. I also have this lettering book called Hand Lettered Home by Carolyn Bryan. This is going to be a guide that I'm using for some of the lettering in this chalk drawing. I also have my Sargent Art Chalk Pastels. This is the 24 set. This is a somewhat new set, but I also have my old set here as well. So the first thing we have to do is erase the old chalk drawing, and I'm using a wet cloth. Next, I'm going to start out by writing chemistry using that lettering at the top of the chalkboard, and then I'm going to work on a candle that's in a candle holder. And this is going to take the bulk of the time to get the candle looking like it's burning and melting, with drips of wax sort of melting down on this candle. So this illustration is for our Waldorf Chemistry Main Lesson Block. I do have the curriculum by Live Education. You can find the resources I'm using for our chemistry unit on the blog post that accompanies this video, and you can find the link to that blog post in the description box below. So for this unit, we are primarily using some Waldorf resources, but I do have additional resources if you want to do a chemistry unit study. And I am using some additional resources in order to put together some of our chalk drawing inspiration, as well as some of the text that's going to go on the chalk drawing. And I am using some of those additional resources just to give me some background information as we're working through this main lesson block. So I'm really realizing that flame is sort of in the way of our title, or the title was in the way of our flame, so I erased it. We're going to shift the title over a little bit as I continue to work on our candle. The introduction to our chemistry main lesson block is going to include the chemical processes of combustion, salt formation, and solvents and solutions. But we're starting with combustion as our first main topic, and we're going to be doing some demonstrations with a candle and other combustion demonstrations. And so having this candle as part of our chalk drawing for our lessons that are coming up is very appropriate for this part of the main lesson block. So I'm going to go ahead and redo that title so that it's a little bit more centered and it doesn't conflict with the candle, because I do want to make the candle a little bit smoking, just so that there's an understanding that as this chemical process is happening, it is transforming that liquid from the candle wax into heat and light, and you have a little bit of gas that's being produced as well. So I also want to write combustion on the right side of the chalkboard, and the way that I'm writing this was inspired by another chalk drawing. You can find the credits below in the description box. And then I'm also adding this fire triangle, and this is from the book Super Simple Chemistry, but I have seen it in other resources as well. So it's something that you will see over and over again in a combustion topic for chemistry, this triangle that relates heat and fuel and oxygen as the 3 primary components in starting a fire or starting combustion and maintaining that burning. So this is a simplified version of combustion and the 3 components that you need, but there are other gases that could be used in order to fuel your combustion, but we're going to keep this very simple and look at what's generally the case for combustion in chemistry for these topics. So this is a basic introduction, so we're not looking at the exceptions to the rule or even other rules that are surrounding some of these lessons that we're doing. So we're keeping it simple with oxygen, fuel, and heat, with a flame right in the center of that triangle. And now I'm adding a little bit of black gray smoke for our candle, which is especially apparent when you blow out the candle. And then I've added all of the text around the illustration, sort of filling in those blank spaces on the chalkboard. So I have a simple paragraph that talks about the chemical reaction that we now call burning, which is based on combustion, and then little explanations about chemical reaction and about the color of the flame. Those are just additional notes for this chalk drawing, but the main paragraph is what I really want as a takeaway for this lesson, which all of this will end up in the main lesson book for her chemistry main lesson block. I hope that you enjoyed this look at our chalk drawing for our chemistry main lesson block on combustion. I hope that you'll check out the blog post that accompanies this video, where you can find more information on this chemistry main lesson block, as well as links to all of the resources we've used for our chemistry main lesson block and our chemistry unit study. You can find the link to that blog post in the description box below. And if you'd like to see how we're homeschooling on a daily basis, you can find me on Instagram and now on TikTok at Pepper and Pine.